Welcome back to the Pack Fresh podcast, where we talk about all things Pokemon TCG and give you a little peek behind the curtain of what it's like to be a seller in this crazy hobby. And today we are going to be talking about and answering our most asked question: how do we get product? And it's a loaded question. So we're going to give, I think, the whole episode just kind of chatting back and forth about how we get product, what it's like, how it's changed, and are we scalpers?
Are we scalpers? What a crazy question. It's definitely hard to get product. It's
It is.
just as hard for us as it is for anybody else looking for product, except for we need to find it on a much larger scale
Right.
in
And at a
order.
price that we can then sell it and make a little bit of a profit.
And not just completely go overboard for the customer. We have to keep the customers in mind while we're purchasing product as well. So it's definitely tricky. Obviously, if you're out there looking for stuff for yourself, you can just go if you feel comfortable paying the price, grab it, but it's not the same for us, especially buying in bulk. You would think it would be easier to buy in bulk, but actually a lot of the times it's more difficult.
And especially lately, like whenever we have an opportunity to buy bulk, when we're talking bulk, we're talking like 1,000 packs, 2,000 packs, 3,000 packs. We generally have to pay higher, right? Like you can find the off deal for 20 packs, 15 packs, whatever. It takes a lot of time to source these deals, find people to work with, if it's Facebook Marketplace, if it's local shops, conventions, and we'll kind of get into different areas that we find product in. But finding somebody who has multiple thousand packs that will last you a couple of weeks, a month, whatever it is, I think there is a value on that as well.
Time savings versus finding, like you said, a bunch of deals where you might be able to save a little bit of money, but you're only getting 20, 50 packs. That doesn't last very long in the streaming world.
Yeah, for sure.
When a new set releases,
Yeah.
obviously I have a shop, so I have distribution. I know what I'm going to be getting ahead of time, so I have enough product, at least for the foreseeable future when it comes out. Unless it's a product like Prismatic, where I had to order almost twice as much as I had before the set came out at a much higher rate just to make sure I had enough product for customers. On your end, not having that distribution, how do you find yourself strategizing when a new set releases?
It's very stressful because, like you said, I don't have distribution. I have relationships I've built up with various shops and local and nationwide. I can pick from, kind of get some packs, but everybody needs their stuff, and everybody's allocations, especially with these newer sets, are getting cut more and more. So there's just less excess. A year ago, or even 6 months ago, when a new set would drop, like everybody had so much product that if I went into their shop and I was like, "Hey, can I get a case or can I get 2 cases of this set?" They'd be like, "Oh, please take
Please. Oh,
it."
yes.
Yeah, I would love for you to take
This
it.
one, this set right here, that's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely got you.
But now everybody needs it because it
Right.
sells and there's no need to offload a bunch of it for the most part. For me, it's very stressful because it's okay, how much do I order or how much can I get? And then how much do I want to bring in and at what price? Because these sets are so hyped and they're so expensive. And I think a lot of people don't realize is a lot of people are looking for MSRP, but I don't know the last time I paid MSRP.
MSRP is a tough find for sure.
It's, and even for somebody like me who's buying a ton, especially pre-release, when the set starts getting really hyped, and then you just see that price just
Yeah.
rising
Oh, yeah.
and rising. Like Prismatic was crazy. People were projecting that was going to be like a $30-$40 pack. So when you're going in and you're like, "Oh, what can I buy this at?"
Where can I be? Yeah.
Not just get torched, right? Because it's like the set then drops and then it lands somewhere in the $15-$16 range, which is still very expensive. I know some people who were buying it $20 a pack.
I definitely bought ETBs before they dropped at a much higher rate, thinking that they were going to go up, and then I'd be able to have some product for people. And it definitely dipped down, and I expect Journey to do the same thing here when it releases. You might see a little bit of a dip until that mass consumption of product is gone. And
Right.
then once that happens, usually your big box stores are going to stock for 3 to 4 weeks. They drop it over 4 separate drops. Once that's gone, that'll create a secondary market push, right? Everybody who's picking it up at the box stores are going to go online and try and resell some of that product, rip some of that product. And once that all dries up, then the price will stabilize again after that. We'll see with this one what happens. Prismatic even caught me by surprise because, like I said, I ordered like an extra 20 cases of ETBs just to have some for my customers, and I overpaid. I could have got it maybe $20 a ETB, $25 an ETB cheaper had I just waited until it came out, but could have went the other way as well. It came out and just jumped up. I did the best. I think we pretty much just washed on the first 150 ETBs we sold. Just I wanted to have it, but
Yeah.
we didn't make anything off of those, and then the price kind of started to stabilize and went back up a little bit, and maybe now we make $20 an ETB, but at least we have it for people, have it available so the store and pick it up.
I think that brings an interesting question. What's the line for you with a new product when something is that expensive? Contrary to a lot of people's popular belief is people think a lot of stores and shops are getting things dirt cheap from distribution, going to big box retailers and getting it at MSRP and then selling it for 2-3 times the market. That's just not the case. You'll get, in your case, you'll get some product allocated to you, but
Right.
it's really not much. So when it comes to getting that mass amount, right, that you can, like you were saying, offer to your customers, because you want to have the product. That's what people want, is the new thing. Where do you draw the line? Okay, I'm going to get a bunch of this and I'm not going to make very much money, but I want to have it so that people have the
So
option.
I work really hard in shop and in the streams to make sure we have all different packs because you're going to have different types of customers, right? You're going to have the people who only want to buy it at MSRP,
Uh-huh.
and they'll go out and grind for 4 hours checking out big box stores so that they can save $20 a box or whatever it ends up being. Then you have another set of customers who don't have time for that and they just want to open Pokemon. Those are the customers that I like to make sure that we have a huge selection for. They can come in, pick out whatever they want, open packs. They don't have to worry about, let me run around all day to be able to open up a couple packs or buy something on a website that I don't know if it's going to be legitimate or not.
That's true.
I, as far as like how much you make off everything, you don't make a ton of money, especially on these new releases, because you're really just trying to get it as close as you can to where it's going to land. It's a guess for us as much as it is for everybody else, where it's going to go, what the actual market rate is going to be on a product. And for me personally, the Journey Together, I think market's 260 on a booster box as of right now while we're filming. I just I thought that was too much, so I brought them in a little bit lower than that for the box price for customers in the shop.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it as fair as we can. We would not try to price gouge on anything that we get in. We just want to make it as fair and have a big selection for everybody that stops in so they have something to rip. And we get more compliments on that every day than probably any other compliment that we get. Is just
Yeah.
like, wow, you guys have the most Pokemon that I've seen in a store.
And I think there's something to be said for that. I know for me, I stress about this because, like, in the streaming world, and I think it's probably is anxiety that stems from like other forms of streaming for me in the past. My thing I always thought when I was streaming Call of Duty was, if I'm not streaming today or if I'm not playing on the new update, I think that's probably the best comparison. If I wasn't playing on the new update, somebody else is, and all those people who watch me are going to go find somebody else who's
Playing the
playing
new
it,
update,
and then
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, this is my streamer now." So fast forward to now, new set drops. If I don't have the new set, they're gonna find somebody who does, and then they're gonna watch them and buy from them in the future. And that's probably like an unwarranted stress, but still is like in the back of my head where it's
Just
okay.
talking about it.
I want the new set. I want a big selection of older, more interesting stuff. It's just like this constant like tug of war of how much of this should I bring in? Can I lose money on this if it means that I have it? And then I can make that money back somewhere else. Those people who then come in for the new set are like, ooh, I haven't
Oh,
seen XY breakthrough available. So it's tough. And I guess this can transition into the next topic I wanted to talk about in this is this whole notion of scalping that is like very popular.
it's a
And
very
I don't want to get
popular
like
word.
too deep into it because I think it's a very like heated conversation, but it's definitely happening, right? I don't want to deny that it's happening. It
Right.
definitely is happening quite a bit. But I think a lot of these people like us who you'll see like online, we don't have time to go to a stand outside Target or wait for a restock to happen and then clear the shelves. I'm sure you've seen videos of that happening with shops and whatever, which sucks to see because Target and those places like that's really for anybody to go buy.
Right.
It's not really for us.
Yeah.
But like we don't have time to go and wait 2 hours and then get two ETBs that then we make
Yeah.
$30 on.
I don't
That
know
much,
how anybody has time for that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah, it's true.
Doesn't even matter if you save $100. I just to waste so much of your time. Maybe if you're at the store and you catch a drop, to sit there and wait.
But I've seen stories of people putting air tags on restock trucks and stuff.
My gosh. Yeah, I'm sure
Like
it
that's
gets
got to be
kind of
illegal.
crazy.
First,
Yeah, 100%.
it's crazy.
And a lot of these people, you can tell they're new to collecting. The
Mm.
term has become a lot bigger recently, and you can tell because if you were even collecting for the last 5 years, you would know that this is just cyclical. New sets will come out, they're very popular. They're wiped out the day they come out. This is nothing new to the Pokemon community that's been around, that has been collecting. It's
Mhm.
just a new term of the month for these people that are beginner collectors.
Yeah.
And it's their first experience with it, and it's probably frustrating for them. They're also new, and their entry into collecting is honestly what's creating this backlog of being able to find inventory in the
It's
first
true.
place.
And
Because
it
with
sucks.
100%, without this increase in demand for these products and everybody wanting to get them, it would still be the same as any of Scarlet Violet 1 through 6. Shelves were full. You could go in and buy a pack of 4 or 5 different sets at any box store. It was
Yep.
all just sitting there. And then with the release of Twilight Masquerade, things started to take a turn with some of the cards actually coming out looking amazing.
Yeah.
And then surging with the Pika just kept going. The hits, they just keep coming, and that's been driving the demand of all of these sets. Look at the Destin Rivals
Yep.
Pokemon Center release. I saw so many people whining about it online.
It sucks. I didn't
Sucks.
get one. Like
I
I
waited
need
in
one
line.
for my collection.
Oh, it looks so cool.
It's really cool.
Oh, it looks so
Really cool.
nice. Oh, it looks so good. But I didn't get one either. It was sold out by the time I got in. It is what it is. They limited
Yeah.
it to one per person. What do you want from them? They can only print so many. They're probably printing more of this than they did, say, for surging Pokemon Center
So
ETBs.
I saw a stat and I don't know the full truth of this, but it was somewhere in the 18%. But basically it was in the last year they've printed 18% of all Pokemon cards since WotC. Since the beginning of Pokemon, 18% of cards were printed in the last year. They're printing so much more now than they ever have.
And they're talking about ramping that up. The demand is not going to last forever at this peak state.
Yeah.
So it's silly for them to print more cards. There's already going to be so many millions and millions and millions of cards after this. And so now what happens when this popularity decreases and now they're printing all the new sets? I think we're pretty safe for maybe the next 3, 4 sets. After that, before the 30th, say they launch the Z to A and it's the new starters and it'll be like every base. A lot of people just exit the collecting space for a little while because they just had this great run and now it's all these new Pokemon nobody really knows, and it'll be interesting to see because now all of a sudden they're going to be able to print twice as much as they could when that came out.
Right.
Now I was already getting hundreds of boxes back then, and it just sat on my shelves. Nobody wanted it even at $10 over what I paid for it.
I remember there was a while where you could get a booster box of Obsidian Flames for $90, which
Yeah.
is like
Basically
below
distro
cost.
cost. It's
And now that's
interesting.
$190 box, almost $200, and
And
it's
the fact
wild.
that all these boxes are supposed to cost 165. It's nice to see market demand basically MSRP. We're
Right.
slightly over on some. You might pay 35 bucks over MSRP. For how long, like you said, you were able to pay 60% less than
Yeah.
MSRP. So it's definitely a market that's always been driven by demand, and the demand is super high right now.
I wonder if that's part of the feeling. This shifted so quickly. We had Temporal Forces was the last set where we really you didn't have a ton of hype. There was obviously
Yeah,
people ripping it. That was available instantly on shelves, and you could go,
right.
you could get whatever you wanted. After that, things kind of started shifting, like you said, with Twilight, and then surging was when we saw actual MSRP prices, and then a little bit more. If we were before that, if we were at MSRP on launch on a lot of these sets, getting up to $200 on a booster box, it really wouldn't feel that crazy. But it's the jump from $110, $120 a booster box to now 250. That's a huge jump, and I wonder if that's part of it, because
Yeah.
most collectibles, like, I've been in a lot of different collectible spaces, and everything is hype like this. When something drops, it's crazy. There's bots buying everything out. There's all these things happening, right? You see that, and then the market kind of corrects. It cools off a little bit, but I don't know. Obviously, Pokemon is very insane right now.
We have the dynamic right now with these hits that are selling instantly when a set drop for
Right.
hundreds of dollars. When Temporal Forces came out, what was the highest card? 80, like maybe 100.
Yeah.
And starting with the Greninja and then the Pikachu and now all the evolutions in Prismatic, and even the Salamence is selling right now for 240 out of Journey Together, and then the Lily's Clefairy's at $325 right now.
Yeah.
So there is definitely off release a big boost for these packs because you can pull stuff that has real life value.
Right.
That's really what drives it. If there was nothing worth value in these packs, then it wouldn't command such a high price.
That's true.
The fact that these singles are holding this value, and then also mix that with the fact that it is in such high demand that you can't get these packs, and that's really where we're at right now for the
Yeah.
perfect storm of Pokemon being so popular.
We've talked a little bit about modern, right? The new releases and how we get product for that. And there's really, it's not a good answer, right?
Yeah. I
There's really
mean,
no good answer. It's kind you got to work really hard. There's no easy way to get product. There's no secret sauce. But what's even harder than new releases is getting older sets.
vintage has been crazy.
Yep.
Market on vintage has went up, and it was already a pretty extreme amount per pack for
Yeah.
vintage. And just seeing boxes like a base set box that were selling for $15,000 a box now over 20 to 21,000 a box. And that's like a 20 to 30% increase. And it's been 30 years. So that's
Yeah.
kind of insane. How can you see such an increase? And it's just driven more than likely by the same effect of all these people coming into the Pokemon space, and some of them wanting that nostalgic rip. I ripped this when I was younger, and now I want to rip a pack again. It's been increasingly harder to find. I think when we used to go to shows, we would find a lot more,
Yeah, for sure.
especially the mid-era stuff, the XY, the
Yep.
black and white. We would find that, and we could find blisters and really cool character boxes. And now you're really only
Really
finding
tough.
maybe one or two of those. Like, it's all been bought, and the same people haven't been able to restock that for us to pick up. You just see it a lot more few and far between
Yeah.
than it was even a year ago for us to find that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It is very difficult. And I think the real only way to get it is traveling. And we're all over the United States now. Pretty much every weekend we're in an airplane or in a car driving to a different part of the state or to a different state. It's expensive going to
Yeah.
these. It's expensive, the airfare, then the hotel, then your food when you're there, plus the cost of the show you're going to. And then you got to hope that it's good.
You can.
You got to
We
hope that there's actually product there.
we are very lucky. We've done quite a few shows, and luckily for the majority of them, we've done pretty well.
Yep.
Obviously, was that 2 weekends ago now? That was probably our worst show in a long time. That was
Great.
tough, but I think we made the most of it. We traveled around while we were in the area to a lot of local shops and checked
Yep.
them out and made a few relationships with the shops in the area. And then also were able to buy a few things from them. That kind of helped out. But the show itself, if it was just that, we would have taken just a
It would have been rough.
giant loss on
Yeah.
that trip. For the most part, though, the shows we do pretty well. We can at least make our money back for the travel plus a little bit. And then of course with planning other events like breaks while we're there and
Yeah.
other networking as well. So we can just always maximize these trips. And it's definitely worrisome when you start to see shows like the one we went to because it was packed.
It was crazy.
It was
I've never
so
seen so many
crazy.
people.
They were at fire code occupancy and they still had 400 to 500 people waiting to get in.
Yeah.
You couldn't move. The aisles were just packed. You'd have to wait 5 minutes just to step up to a table. But none of the tables really had anything for
Yeah.
sale. That was tough.
It was a weird experience. And I really hope that doesn't become a norm right now.
And it's got to be tough for everybody to find product, even these people that are vending at all these cons across the country,
Yep.
because you're selling so much at every show, every convention, card show, whether it's a monthly, it's a bigger event like a Collecticon. All of these shows have very like the similar vendors, like or the same vendors that come
Yeah.
back or travel to all of them. And so they need to be finding more stuff between every show because when they go to a show, they sell pretty much everything they had. So the biggest,
When they're working with people like us or other resellers, they have to get it at a price that not only makes sense for them, but then makes sense to sell it to somebody like us because some vendors are different. Some vendors
Right.
won't work with us, but others, we'll go in and buy a large amount of what they have and they're willing to work at some sort of percentage where it's like they can make money and then we
yeah,
can make money on the end.
makes
So it's
their
like,
show a little more worthwhile for them because
right,
they can make a bigger deal to one person instead of just selling $20, $30 repeatedly.
right.
That definitely helps. And you definitely see our friends slash acquaintances that we buy from. And when a bubble like this hits in the Pokemon market, it's interesting because a lot of these people will then forget that you were buying from them for so long.
Right.
Pre-bubble, where they had all this product they had to move, and now everything's on top of the world, and then they want to, oh no, I'm gonna just sell it at market and cut you guys out. But all bubbles are gonna pop, so we'll see. That's in my
Yeah.
mind, that's not the move. There'll be a lot of people that act like this when the bubble is over and they're making all this money that after it pops, you probably won't see a lot of those people around because it's really a give and take relationship to move all this stuff, whether it's booming market or a bare bones market.
That's one of the things that I didn't anticipate moving into this is those relationships. You feel like they're rock solid. You feel like you spent thousands and thousands of dollars in a lot of these cases with people. And it's, oh, yeah, I should be able to do a great deal with this guy again. That worked out great for both of us. We both made decent money on that deal. And you go talk to them and they're just like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just sell it at market. I'm just like, oh,
Perfect. Yeah.
okay. I guess I'll remember this when when you have all of this product that you have in excess of,
Oh, I can't move it.
and
No.
it just sucks because it's just
And look at like we're still in a very hype Pokemon market, but over the last like week and a half, you've seen singles were on the rise. Every day you'd have to
yeah,
recomp singles. And now you've seen some of them dip 20 to 30% from where they
yeah,
were. So for single sellers, they were out like it was the top of the world buying all of this stuff. And now they're upside down because when it was like really hard to get, people weren't selling singles for less than 90%. So if you were paying 75, 85, 95 in bulk, and then you
yep,
lose 30% off of that, most
yeah,
of the
like you're
people are
torched.
upside down. And that's the same way for the sealed product. It'll happen the same way. Pokemon for the long haul is one of the best investments in sealed product because statistically over MSRP, no products have went down and lost money.
Right.
But that's in the long term because
That doesn't
right
mean that it
away, it
it
doesn't mean
doesn't.
it doesn't fluctuate right below
Right.
that. But over time, no products have dipped below that. It's like watching the stock market, and people really need to have that on their brain as well because especially for us, if we're going to go make a deal and we're paying a little bit extra and we're getting 1,000, 2,000 packs, how long
Yeah.
does it take? Does it take to move 1,000 packs a week? What can happen in 3 weeks? It can
We
go up, but
could.
they
Can
could
also
also go
just as
down.
quickly go down. And I think that's something when I first started this, I had a few people ask if I wanted some money to jumpstart the business. And I was just like, no, I don't.
I don't
I,
think I do
I
actually.
was
Yeah.
like, I wanted one, I wanted to do it on my own,
Yeah.
right? And two, it was just like, I didn't want to put myself in a position that I spend at the time $10,000 of
Right.
money that I did not have at all on a bunch of product, and then who knows? Maybe I can't sell it,
Well, and
you know?
imagine the jump start that something like that gives you because then you have $10,000 that's not yours. You haven't made purchases like that before. It's like it's better to crawl before you can walk type of a deal and then run because you could have just taken 10,000 and made a mistake and lost everything. It could have went completely upside down. But when you're able to go, okay, I'll go buy $1,000 this weekend. Oh, I'm able to sell all of it. I'll take my $1,200. I'm going to go spend that. And you just ramp it up and notice the trends week over week where the prices are going. And obviously, we've seen some very large price increases over the last few months, but you're able to
Yeah.
manage that and then just say, oh, this is crazy. This is too much for me. I don't want to get into products at this price. I'll wait until they cool down a little bit. Versus if you just had a bunch of money, you're like, oh, give me that, give me this. I'll take four
Well,
of
and then it's
these.
like you don't know what your customer base likes, right? You don't
Yeah,
know
what to bring in more of.
what
So
to bring
you're
in more of. And then if you're spending $10,000, I just can't even imagine. Like when I started this, I started with $0. Basically, the money that I had spent on singles for my personal collection, that
Mhm.
then I looked at my collection, I was like, I need to decide what I want to collect and made that decision, and I was very strict with it. And the rest of it, I was like, okay, I'll try selling this.
Yeah.
And then that money from those other singles, then I bought some more singles and bought some more product from there. And then it was like ripping packs is really fun. So then bought a few more packs, traded some of my singles into sealed product, and just kept reinvesting. And through that, I learned one, I'm building these relationships with these people. And then you're learning what buyers like and what's a good price for stuff, and then how to read. There's Celebration sells for $12, $14, or whatever, right? What product that Celebrations is in can I buy at a price that it makes sense?
Yeah.
Like, do I buy an ETB? It comes with 10 packs and then it has 4 bonus packs. So if I buy that, I can sell each of these for however much. And then I have these other packs that kind of help on that margin. And that's just stuff you kind of learn as you do it. So it's, if you had $10,000 off the rip and you don't really know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, let me just buy
Make
$10,000
a
of
lot of
Celebrations
mistakes
packs.
thinking you know what you're
Yeah,
doing.
oh yeah,
And
this is easy.
then
I'll just buy I'll
Yeah.
buy a product.
Which could just end up being a complete waste of money or somebody else's money at that point.
Yeah.
I would say another issue that we face is product delivery, especially for release days or release weekends.
Yep.
Me living in Minnesota, obviously, we have a lot of weather during the winter. We've had releases that are delayed because of that, or even might not even be delayed over a day, might just be, oh, you're going live at X time and it doesn't show up until. How
Yep.
do you feel about that? Have you had any issues with releases and
Yes.
waiting for product?
I have a lot of issues with that. Most of my biggest connections are out of state. I live in California. There is a ton of people who do this in California, which on one hand is a good thing. There's a lot of people who do it, there's a lot of connections to be made. However, that means that all of that product needs to get spread out over all these people. There's just not enough locally for somebody like me to get early enough for a release without paying crazy high prices that would make 0 cents for me. So most of my deals for pre-release and stuff like that come out of state. So then I'm relying on UPS, FedEx, whatever to deliver things on time. And most recently, Journey Together. I was very lucky. I got Journey Together about a week and a half early. It was supposed to be almost 2 weeks early. And UPS then missed my delivery the day it was supposed to be there. It was basically last Monday. I'll just say that. It was supposed to be delivered on a Monday. That never happened. So then, okay, it's going to be here the next day on Tuesday. And I go live at 1 p.m. Pacific every single day. So I was like telling all my people, I was like, okay, Journey Together is going to be here today. Might not be here exactly before I go live, but generally speaking, UPS gets there around that time.
Yeah.
So I went live. I'm like, Journey Together is here ish.
Ish.
So I'm like sitting there, I have the tracking up. I'm looking at like the maps and stuff like that. Like, where is the UPS truck? And he just never showed up. It was hours that we were on stream. And then, of course, like everybody wants that set. The rest of the stuff isn't really selling all that great. Like, we're still having fun hanging out. But at the end of the day, it's like if I'm live, I still need to sell some stuff to make the time worth it. And so then ultimately, I was just like, you know what? I'll just end the stream now and I'll get back on when it comes. It came at 8 p.m., went live again, and I stayed live until 4 a.m. that day. It was so much fun. It was awesome.
Not how it was drawn up.
It was not how it was drawn up. No, it was very cool. And I still had it super early, so it's not the end of the world. But imagine that was release day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't have it for 2 days after that.
And
Things get a little
imagine it's a
stressful there.
Friday and then you don't get it till Monday.
Right, exactly.
We've had that happen for releases in the store, and either the manufacturer, say Pokemon themselves, ships it to the distributor late. I actually just had this with Journey for us. So we're a pre-release store, so we were able to launch it Monday this week. So they ship it 2 days early because it's a 2-day ship, so it would have landed to us on Monday. One of the distributors called us the day they were shipping our stuff out and said that Pokemon didn't get them half of the booster boxes, so they cut our order by half. That stuff just finally arrived today, which is just in time for the actual release date, which is nice because then a larger amount of people are going to be looking for it after the original release day. But it's nice to be able to have enough that week early to be able to sell to customers coming in and the people who come into the store to play.
That's just crazy, though.
It happens more than you think.
Yeah.
Probably 1 to 2 times a month, one product will be delayed for us coming in, whether it's the weather's fault, the carrier's fault, the distribution's fault, the manufacturer's fault. All these things can go wrong, and it just makes it interesting on our end to figure out, hey, what do we do now? Do we pivot? We don't have this available.
Right.
Or we're going to have less of it available than we expected. And if you planned a release event for that or a stream around that, now you don't have as much product as you thought you were going to have to be able to sell. It just is interesting.
Yeah. It's a sticky situation because a lot of this stuff, especially now, I think maybe 6 months ago, it wouldn't have been as stressful, right?
Yeah.
But now we're working with such little product compared to what it was before. Or say like that situation happens where it was supposed to be delivered Friday, but now it's going to be Monday. Before you could have found something else to bring in.
Right.
It's like could be a couple calls and been like, yo, let me get a couple cases of whatever, right? From somebody locally. And now it's well, I
Like,
guess we're gonna
I didn't get enough. I can't do that.
yeah.
Sorry. It definitely makes it a lot harder. The scarcity of the product is a good issue and a bad issue.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's good for the hobby or just frustrating for the hobby?
I don't think it's super black and white. It is obviously very frustrating. You hear it everywhere. It's frustrating for us. We can't get the product either. We want to have it available for our customers. And I think the unfortunate side of that is ultimately going to turn people off of the hobby or turn people away for a while or altogether. And that sucks. You don't want anybody to leave the hobby, but at the same token, you don't want it to be so readily available that nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance. In a perfect world, it would be readily available and it would be hyped. I don't think that's possible.
Right.
But the scarcity does create some sort of urgency. It does create value on a lot of these cards. And like it or not, I know there is a group of people and collectors that don't care about the value, but there is also a large amount of the collectors who care mostly about the value. And at the end of the day, that synergy is really what makes this such a popular hobby. Everybody wants their cards to be worth a ton of money, but at the
Right.
same time, they don't want to pay a lot for them. And that's a harsh truth, unfortunately. I don't see it as super black and white. What
I
about you?
mean, and it can be both. It is frustrating. It's frustrating to get products. It's frustrating when the prices go up to what even we believe is an unreasonable amount of
Yeah,
where a product should be. We talk about where we think a product should be at, and it'll just blow past the target that we think and be worth sometimes twice as much as that.
yeah,
And we usually do pretty good at forecasting what we think a product's going to be worth, and it can fall kind of right in there. And then sometimes the demand is just so high, and there was no way that we could have guessed that was even going to happen.
right,
So I think it is definitely frustrating, but it's also good for the hobby because having all these new collectors, having all these people that want to collect Pokemon, and it takes all types of collectors to make the hobby go round. The collectors who just like to collect, it's an easier purchase for them because they resonate with the Pokemon. They're actually like
right,
fans of the Pokemon.
correct,
Whereas some of the other people on the collector's side, not necessarily, because everybody I think is a fan of Pokemon in some way, shape, or form,
right,
but some people are kind of on the narrow end of that and are more in it just for the dollar portion of that. So they're chasing the hit. If they don't get a hit, it's more frustrating for them versus a collector of the art and Pokemon and all the outside aspects of it, or they're doing a master set binder, doing
right.
something, and it makes it a little bit easier for them if they don't get those top dollar cards because it's cards that they still like regardless.
Right. It sucks. I'm a collector first. I'm here because I love Pokemon and I love collecting Pokemon. And I ripped my first Journey Together packs today.
Oh yeah.
I've been ripping it on stream for people, but I haven't ripped any. I've saved everything for stream. And I finally just ripped some today. And it was awesome. I love it.
That's
And
actually crazy to think when you're a chef, you cook all day at work and you come home and then you don't want to cook for yourself and like
right,
or you're so busy during the day, it's like, oh man, I guess
right.
it's kind of similar with that too. You're ripping cards every day all week long, but then you're like, oh, I didn't even get to open any of this new release for me.
Yeah. I mean, Prismatic, I still have not really ripped any for myself because I want to save everything that I can get for stream and for my customers. Where do I draw the line? I have some that I can then rip for myself now.
That's one of the hardest lines.
Yeah.
I don't want to rip this because I want to have product available for my customers. And some of that stuff is so hard to find, especially at a good enough price to where you want to sell it to your customers. I find myself doing that a lot. I'm like, I really want to rip this. It's one of my favorite sets, but I just can't because I didn't get enough.
Yep.
And I'd rather make sure that everybody can have some versus me ripping it for myself. I was doing every master set. I did all of Sword and Shield. I did through Scarlet Violet through like number 3. And there wasn't enough coming in, even though it was kind of just sitting around. We were still getting busier with sales. And I just wanted to make sure we had enough for customers to have. And now it's ridiculously not even possible with starting at like SVO 8. It's interesting to have that kind of weigh on you. You're like, man, I'd rather have somebody else be able to rip and pull just a massive card from the set.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I have this weird thought process in my brain where it's okay, if I rip and I hit a crazy card, that could have been for a customer. Like that could have been an
a
awesome
customer's
moment
pull, 100%.
that I could have given to somebody. And now I would feel bad if I didn't tell people that I hit that, because then you're being disingenuous, or it's like,
Yeah.
you know, usually I don't ever rip from like my stock. If I do rip, it's either in somebody else's stream or it's something that I strictly buy just to rip.
I don't have to worry about that because I ripped quite a bit of Prismatic and it was awful. It was, for me, we've pulled quite a few really nice cards for customers, both in stream and in store. So it's been really awesome to see that. I took all the crappy packs out of the way to pave the highway for everyone else to come through.
I always think about, so I have a YouTube channel as well where I rip packs, and we did a video on there that we did 36 sleeves packs of Evolving Skies, and then my buddy did a booster box, and we just compared the hits, and we both got torched, of course, because it's Evolving Skies. But in the next 10 packs of that same like row of sleeve packs that I had, somebody on stream hit the Moonbryon, and I was just perfect.
You're lucky I got these other 36 out of the way for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. It was great. Obviously, I was super, super happy for them, but it was just like, that was like my like final. Yeah, I think I'm done. That was really too close.
I was only 10 packs away from taking this away from the.
That was a little scary there.
Yeah, and obviously we want all the customers to get pulls. You'd love everybody to pull a Moonbryon.
Yeah.
It would be electric.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, can't do that and can't have that happen, but it would be nice. Yesterday when we pulled the back-to-back Squirtles out of Stellar Crown was unreal. 5 packs and then another 5 packs just packed. I'm like, wow. Congrats. What are the odds you ever do that again?
Right.
Pull something back-to-back like that is insane. So we look for the next moment where we can do something like that.
Yeah.
What do we got coming up? I think next week, bringing in a special guest, hopefully, if everything works out schedule-wise. We just drew for the free Prismatic ETB. The winner of that should have gotten an email they can respond to with an address, and we'll get that mailed out for you as well. Maybe next week we can figure out the next giveaway.
Yeah.
Start a new giveaway.
I just want also just throw a shout out to everybody who's been listening and watching. We've been getting a lot of really great feedback, and we just appreciate you guys by spending your time with us. This has been like just very fun for us to just kind of chat and have some other people along for the ride.
Keep letting us know. Keep letting us know anything you want us to talk about. If there's a certain guest you'd like us to try to get on the show, we listen to all of that, and we would tailor this to any of the asks that the listener base has.
Especially like this episode was very different than what we've done before. This
So
is
far.
more of the behind the scenes, what it's like to sell. And if you guys are interested in more of that, throw some questions in the comments on YouTube and shoot them our way on stream, whatever it is. We'd love to fold those into future episodes. I think it's a really cool
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah, no, I think it went really well. Of course, make sure you check out Wash's streams. We'll put his links in the description of the video, as well as my contact info for our streams and the shop. And we'll see everybody in the next one.
See you guys next week.